Let's see, Danny. Hello, welcome.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
I'm good.
Great.
Um,
What did you want to talk about?
well, I'm just curious what the I guess the end goal is, the ultimate ideal, so to say,
For what?
for your worldview.
My specific worldview?
Yeah, yeah.
I would say a basic standard of living and equality for everyone.
What does equality for everyone mean?
That everyone has the same opportunities, regardless of race, gender, sexuality.
What opportunities do you think
Age.
are afforded to certain races, genders, or sexualities above others?
Uh, where should I start? Like, what do you mean? Are you saying that you don't believe in systemic racism or sexism?
I'm not saying anything. I'm just asking you what you did, just for some examples.
Which one would you like to talk about? Would you like to talk about systemic sexism or systemic racism?
I'll just pick sexism, sure.
Okay. Are you familiar with the overturning of Roe v. Wade?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, one inequality disparity between the sexes would be the right to bodily autonomy.
Well, most Roe v. Wade said that there was a constitutional right to abortion, and the
It
overturning
did
of Roe
not.
v.
It
Wade,
said there was a constitutional right to privacy.
which has turned into a constitutional right for abortion, is what a lot
Privacy
of
is the
people.
umbrella term, and privacy can cover a numerous amount of things.
What about medical status?
What do you mean? What about medical status?
Is there a right to privacy on your medical procedures you have or have not taken?
Yeah. Well, what do you mean have not taken?
Or that was a weird way to put it, but I guess I just
Yeah.
see.
Have you heard of HIPAA?
I have heard of HIPAA. Yeah,
Yeah.
seems like the last couple years there were some extreme HIPAA violations going on left and right
With what?
in regards to mask mandates and vaccine mandates.
How is a mask mandate a violation of HIPAA?
Well, okay, a vaccine mandate. That Roe v. Wade was about the constitutional right to privacy.
Right. But now we're talking about HIPAA. Do you know what HIPAA is?
Yeah, I do.
What is it?
HIPAA is the Hippocratic oath where basically hospitals aren't allowed to disclose medical procedures and medical information. We have the right to not have to disclose that to people.
It's not that HIPAA is essentially that your doctor, you are correct, that your doctor in the hospital can't disclose certain things about your medical records without your permission. So you going
Mm-hmm.
into a restaurant and them asking you if you have been vaccinated is not a violation of HIPAA.
Okay, fine. Well, but I guess what I'm so you brought the Roe v. Wade thing to the privacy thing, and I'm saying, isn't there
I
a
mean,
parallel right there
that's
where there
not
was a
my that's not an opinion of mine. That is how the court was struck. That is
okay,
how the case was
sure. I'm just
structured
I'm
and
just saying you
ruled.
brought that up. So
My point with that, my overarching point with that is that when it comes to where inequality is with the genders, is that women and persons with uterus don't have the rights, the bodily autonomy, whereas the male counterpart does. I
I
mean
guess
that
I don't
pushes the
understand
tipping
why
point.
people are
We can talk
so
about.
upset.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I am confused about how angry everyone is today because like the states where like a lot of states still have a right to abortion, and like I just think the framing that it's like all women are pro-choice and like is just like a rhetorical trick to trick people into thinking that it's like this is like an attack on women. I don't believe it is.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is.
Why?
Tell me, what is the purpose of restricting abortion?
Well, politics is downstream from culture, and I think there's a how do I say it?
If we're going to talk about culture, then would you kind of point to popular opinion?
Well, popular opinion is shaped by movies and media and stuff, and I think there's a lot of people have been. I believe it's a rhetorical trick to say that the right to abortion is like this thing for female empowerment. It just seems crazy to me to see women shrieking in the streets about wanting to have abortions when most of them are never even going to have an abortion.
It's because you're so disconnected from it, because you're a man and you don't understand what this means for women. Can you tell me why abortion was made illegal in 1868?
I cannot.
So the reason that abortion was made illegal was for two reasons. Number one, women were starting to gain political power. And it's an easy way to weaponize pregnancy against women and essentially maternalize them and send them back to the home so that they no longer have the option to participate in politics and gain wealth and power. The second reason is that we were experiencing a mass immigrations from other countries on what people deemed non-white minorities. The most common abortion patient in the late 1800s was a white Protestant married woman. So they did it to take women out of the opportunity to get power and wealth and to make more white babies so that it could uphold the white patriarchal society that we live in today. So yes, I think it is the exact same playbook that they are using today. Because if you and I want to talk about ways to actually reduce abortion, I got tons of ideas. I actually have pragmatic policies that we could implement that would have a meaningful difference, not only in reducing abortion, but increasing the quality of life for persons, for parents, as well as for children. So abortion bans do nothing but to oppress and subjugate women.
Well, I think that's a nice story, but I don't really agree. And I think that,
Tell me where you disagree.
Well, I think that I think abortion helps actually. Okay, let's take this white patriarchal society framework you were talking about here. Like,
great. So you agree we live in a white patriarchal society?
No. I'm saying, can I finish my point, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm saying in that worldview. Okay, let me say this. In a lot of major cities, New York, Chicago, San Francisco, more Black babies are aborted than born every year. And the Black population has been at about 13% for hundreds of years. And it seems like it's a great tool to keep the Black population low and preach to them that it's their right and it's like empowering. And
so I feel you like run into my point and you don't even know it. The reason that the Black community is more susceptible to receiving this type of healthcare is because of systemic racism, and that they are more apt to be impoverished. Because while you did point out urban communities, overall, white people have just as many abortions as Black people. So if you want to get, and honestly, restricting abortion for the Black community, in especially ones that are in poverty, would keep them in poverty. Because now they have extra children to take care of.
I believe family is wealth, and I think it's kind of a trick to say that family isn't wealth.
Well, then you are not living in the real world. That is a great, happy little story that you've conjured in your head. Sure, you can have a very wealthy and fulfilling life having family, but in terms of like your mobility in the economy and in our society, no. If you have children that you can't feed and take care of, That is a real issue.
All right. This was stupid. I'm going to go.
Yeah, you got owned. Good idea.
You got owned.
You did, bro. Like you brought literally nothing to the table.
Well, you didn't let me get to my points. And okay, here's the issue. You've got this worldview.
Okay. How long do you need to get to your point?
Here, I'll just say this. There's this worldview of this systematic racism and systematic sexism and all this stuff. And I think the fixation on all this is tearing people apart. And I think when we look at our neighbors and look at the people next to us, and I don't know, I play music with women, men, black, white, whatever. And it's just like, there's ways to transcend this, and laws only do so much. And it just breaks my heart to see all these women crying over abortion. You know, my older sister had a baby, and I've never seen her happier. And just like treating it as this like men versus women thing. And I see little boys who are told that they're bad because they're white. And I'm not like, oh, I'm a victim. I just think it's
wait. Okay. Go ahead and finish your point.
I just think that what these worldviews right here are driving the sexes apart and pulling people apart, and they're focusing on what we don't have in common. And I think that we have a lot more in common than we realize. And, you know, it's I think a lot of people are really, really unhappy. And I think this fixation on race and these systematic issues that people say are pulling people apart even more.
Okay. Are you a white man?
Yeah, and that apparently matters a lot. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Wait. The reason that I asked that is because you are in a society that benefits you. And when you come on here,
in some ways, sure. You know that white men commit suicide at 75%.
Space to speak. Are you now going to let me give